This is the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour,
supported by Albertsons
and brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Tastes like Miller time. Tom Thumb and Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. Lou Casey, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Alltech Lansing. Just listen with Alltech Lansing, perfecting sound since 1927. And by Omni Hotels and Resorts, the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's Victory Monday!
Now, your hosts, Nicole Hutchison and Brad Sham.
Hey, it is Victory Monday. How about that? Welcome, everybody. What a great crowd we got here. Everybody's got to go someplace to get out of the cold. What better place are you going to go than Sidecar Social? All the holiday decorations are still up all over the place. It looks great. We got all these TVs to watch the various sporting events going on, and we've got Cowboys safety Malik Hooker right over here, our special guest. Appreciate you, Hook. Thank you very much. From the Ohio State Buckeyes, by the way, who will be playing in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl in the playoff quarterfinals on Wednesday evening, and it is Victory Monday. How about that? Just wanted to get that in again. And it's our last show of the season. So we are delighted to see you all. Thank you. You'll be fine. Trust me, you'll be just fine. But we're really grateful for the support of all the people who have come out. Some of you every single week, and believe me, we notice, and we appreciate you. We always want to thank the folks listening to us on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, wherever you may be, and streaming whenever and wherever you're doing that on DallasCowboys.com. How y'all is? Good to see you. We were just talking, the three of us, about how, wow, the season is over. And so, Hook, I think the first thing I'll ask you is, next year is 10 for you. 10 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to touch on the passage of time, but as you go further along in your career, do the seasons feel shorter or longer?
Honestly, I say a little shorter. I feel like all the years before, especially when you're a young guy and you're kind of trying to figure a lot of this, just scheduling and the playbook and stuff like that out, that you really don't get time to really think, and it feels like you hit a wall eventually. But as an older guy, that you figure out your routine and you know how your scheduling and stuff like that goes. It goes pretty quick. I
don't know why I was surprised, but just looking today, this is your 5th year here.
Yes, sir.
And any more? I mean, once upon a time, that's a nice career. You would vested veteran at 3 years, but 5 years is not. But anymore, if you're in one place 5 years, you're doing something right because you like them and they like you back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've been fortunate to obviously, be able to come here and play for the Dallas Cowboys. These last 5 years, I was, you guys know my story. I was coming off a Achilles injury and, was a free agent at the time. So for me to come here and obviously, thrive and be here for 5 years, it's been a blessing for me. So definitely appreciative of, the opportunity.
What's made this year unique? Of course, new head coach. You were reunited with, a defensive coordinator that you played under before, but it seems like a whole different vibe, despite how the season's going. What's been unique about this season for you guys?
I'll say, obviously, just the adversity we've dealt with. Not saying we haven't any other years before, but, just the impact of, losing our teammate Marshawn and our brother that, we've been grinding with, putting the blood, sweat, and tears, and, still having to go out there and perform. That's a lot different type of circumstances than people understand, especially in our profession, because, you deal with stuff all the time, but to lose it, to that type of, situation, we talk about it all the time, mental health and stuff like that, but, it's kind of like a cliche thing. We feel like for most of the time we talk about it. So, for us to deal with it firsthand and, be affected by it firsthand, something that, hit different, especially for a guy like me. That was the first time I've ever dealt with something like that in my career. So, we're still dealing with it, still mourning them and missing them. But, at the same time, we know the type of guy that he was and the type of player that he would want us to, as a team to go and thrive. So, we just try to carry him in our hearts and keep going out there and playing, regardless of, what our circumstances is, whether we go on to the playoffs or not. So, ain't nothing going to change this week coming up. We're still looking forward to going out there and performing for them. And, after that, we get back to the books and, kind of get back ready for next year and see, get back on the horse and get back at it.
It's an odd subject, but I think it's a really important one. If everyone just stops and thinks for a minute about the first time they remember somebody they knew, a friend or someone close, passed away, first time that ever happened in your life, and if it's not like an elderly grandparent or something like that, it just changes the way you look at things, and I wonder if you don't have time to stop in the middle of a season and think about but you have had, times now, a little time has passed and you've all dealt with it. Can you verbalize what kind of an effect this has had on your worldview and how you deal with young people and all of that?
I'm kind of a guy that always, kind of had that type of perspective, with the mental health and stuff like that. Like I said, I've been around long enough to, not only, see guys go through it, but also, myself being a part of one of the guys that sometimes deal with mental health, So for it to be a guy that young, I think Marshawn was 24. His birthday, had passed not too far before. And, just to deal with it that young and, you're always the type of person that, I wish you would have talked to me and things like that. But, at the end of the day, people deal with their own stuff, in their own circumstances. So it was just unfortunate that, we felt like that we couldn't do more for him, to stop that from happening. So, it definitely affects us in a different way because, like I said, that's a guy that we're always around, and us as players, you see us come in the locker room and it's a camaraderie thing. So you never really get time to really dwell and sit in your feelings, because you're either getting ready for the meeting or about to go live or however the case may be. So, we never really had that time to really sit because I think we played a couple days after to really sit in those emotions. But, like I said, there's guys that was affected on the field because obviously you're going out there and you're noticing his presence ain't there. Marshawn was a real bright, person as a player and as a guy. So you notice his presence ain't out there. So, it affects you in a different way. You think, how will he be doing right now? The type of player he is. Will he be singing songs loud right now? So you think of stuff like that, when you lose somebody that close to you. You just wonder, the what-ifs of moments that you're going through, the good moments and the bad moments, like what would he say? Or the good moments, I can see him now smiling. So, it's just stuff like that you think of. But like I said, I know guys are going to be mourning it for a while because, obviously the offseason is coming and, that's a guy that would be in the offseason. He would be one of the top, performers in the offseason. So it's going to be different not seeing him there this offseason. So, you just got to take it a day at a time and keep, trying to live in his spirit,
How much, if you could describe, or what's a story that best kind of shows the type of person that Marshawn was? Because, for fans who never got a chance to interact with Marshawn, they don't necessarily know. So what's a story that kind of paints the picture of who Marshawn was?
There's so many stories. I wouldn't really say a story, but I'll just tell you like a couple days, before the situation happened, his locker was like 2 lockers down from mine. And I remember, we always have to be in the building at 8 o'clock and get breakfast and stuff before. So you're there normally a little bit earlier than that, meeting started at 8. So I come in the building, I'm doing the regular. I got my music in. And normally in the morning, guys don't really talk. It's just like you're getting ready for your meetings, mentally getting ready for how you're going to go about the day and stuff like that. It's like 7:30 in the morning. Marshawn is yelling some music. He got his headphones in, he's yelling, he's singing a song, and I'm like, Marshawn, it's early, man. People normally don't want to talk till after 10:30, and he's just cheesing. He's like, man, I'm just ready to get at it, get after the day and get out there and attack the day because he was dealing with ankle injuries and stuff like that. That was kind of holding him off the field back and forth those last couple weeks. So he was just so excited to get ready to go back out there and play and. He'll always, just say something about his brothers. It was never about him, you know what I'm saying? So it was just cool to be able to be a part of it because, you want to be a part of somebody, a teammate to somebody like that. That's that selfless. They're never bragging on themselves. They're bragging on the next person, or what their your unit does. Because we used to have this competition where we'd be like, the DBs or the linebackers are going outdo the D line in turnovers, and he used to be the first one to be talking stuff about, man, y'all ain't gonna be doing that. I'm gonna go and do this, and he ended up getting the touchdown. So it was just special, for him to have his moment, because like I said, he put so much time and effort into being a great player to not let us down as a team. You know what I'm saying? And as a rookie, that's a big responsibility and in a major way to look at it as a professional too. So it was special, like I said, to be his teammate. We love and miss him dearly, and we always wish the best for his family too.
Now, because he's in your heart and always will be.
Oh, absolutely.
It's okay to say, if someone is raising a racket at 7:30 in the morning, come on, man, I ain't even had my coffee yet.
Man,
come on, man.
In the morning, he had his headphones on, yelling music. I'm like, Marshawn, it is early. Like, I don't want to talk till 10 o'clock. He just cheesing. He just keeps going. But it's like, that's Marshawn. Like, he always lights up the room one way or another when he goes in it.
Are you I got to have my coffee guy before I can interact with anybody?
And I'm not a morning person. I just never been. I really don't like talking in the morning. That's why I try to put my headphones on. So it's like I won't have to talk until the meetings, but it don't work often.
What time do you wake up typically? You like to talk to people. What's the time that you like
Definitely
to
after 10:30, about 10:30, 11. I'm like a lunch guy. Like, I don't even really like eating breakfast for real.
Okay, that's different. That's different.
Yeah,
Do you eat breakfast before meetings and everything?
I force myself to.
You got to have some kind of fuel in you, don't you?
Yeah, I force myself to for that reason, but like when I'm in the off season and I ain't got to work, I don't eat breakfast.
Well, of course, you realize that if you sleep till 10.
Yeah. I wish I could sleep that late. My daughter wakes me up too early.
And how old is she now?
She's 4, about to be 5, coming up in June.
Oh, yeah, so there's no 10. But 8?
7?
About 7, 7:30. My dogs, too. I got 2 dogs. I had a cane corso and a pit bull that I got to let out.
Well,
too.
I was going to just say lunch is your breakfast, but I'm afraid I can't help you with dogs and that sweet little girl. All right, we're going to take our first break, and then I want to talk about the trajectory of the season, and I also want to reflect on the fact, and you touched on it, but and we've discussed it before, but the journey that you've traveled to get 10 years in the league, that is something. That is worth flowers, and we're going to throw some at you. Tonight we are at Sidecar Social at the Star District in Frisco on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. Nicole, who might be helping us present this fine program?
Got you covered. Albertsons. When it comes time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Tom Thumb and Albertsons. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Tom Thumb and Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys.
We're with Cowboys safety Malik Hooker, and we'll be right back.
Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
At Sidecar Social at the Star District in Frisco with Nicole Hutchison, I'm Brad Sham with our very special guest, Cowboys safety Malik Hooker on Victory Monday. Victory Monday. It's just as much Victory Monday if the last game was on Thursday. That's all right. Had you ever played?
take it.
Had you ever played on Christmas before?
Yeah, every year I've been here, just about.
Not here.
We
Not on
played,
Christmas.
I think it was Christmas
Eve,
last
2023.
year.
I thought right, 2023.
2023 or 2024.
Yeah,
I
but
wanna
that
say.
ain't
something like that.
Christmas though.
Just about for us, because we be
Yeah.
having to go right back in the next day to do the film, so we had to go.
Miami game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Felt
so-
weird, and maybe it was the being away.
It was, yeah. We normally be at home when we play them days normally.
Yeah.
So that was different for the first time. I definitely didn't like it. I got to miss my whole Christmas from a family. So my daughter was pretty upset having to open two of her gifts at night. But I still
Comes
made
with
it on the day. I still made it on the day.
That's
so.
right. She's over it now, isn't she?
Yeah. She's been riding them toys all over
Yeah,
the house, so
okay.
she's pretty much.
I was going to say
over
she
it.
doesn't even
She's
know
pretty much
now.
over it.
Okay, I want to go back. I want to kind of look back at this season a little bit. You came here in 21 and late. I mean, it was like at the end of camp, right?
Yeah, I think like the second or third week in the count.
So 20, the COVID year, defense had all kinds of problems. They changed the staff, so you came in with Dan Quinn and
Yes,
that
sir.
staff. And then for 4 years, it was pretty good.
Yes, sir.
This year has not been so good on your side of the ball.
Yes, sir.
That's a fair thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
And I remember
absolutely.
talking to you early because you were in Indianapolis and playing when Matt Eberflus was the coordinator there. Reputation was great. People who had been here knew him as a linebacker coach. He was a very good coach. And obviously, early on, things weren't meshing. And I remember somewhere about 4 weeks in, talking to you because they were talking about communication and all of that stuff. You were not concerned. You weren't pleased with how it had gone, but you weren't concerned because you really thought that the communication would kind of settle in. Now, did that part of it ever get okay?
I'll say it's 50-50 because obviously, there's a lot of moving pieces that happen, towards the middle and the end of the season. Obviously there was a lot of trades that happened. We brought Big Q and those guys,
And you got Demo back.
Demo, I
and
was
you
just
get-
about to say we got some
right.
injury guys that came off of the injury list. Obviously Demo, Trey, and a lot of those guys came back. So, it's 50-50 because, a lot of those guys, obviously Demo hasn't played in how long? Over a year. Trey missed the majority of the year back and forth with his knee being banged up. So it's like it's a lot of major factors that kind of play into the communication role because week to week the communications can change. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a guy that's on IR and you're not obviously required to be in the meetings and stuff throughout that week, you won't really know the changes unless you either ask or we have those same changes that same week. So it's a lot of major factors that play into it, but. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have a job to do, which is, to have the playbook down packed, whatever that is for that week. And, we have to go out there and execute, whether it be, a play call we've been running all year, a play call that we just installed that week. That's our job to do. So I feel like that part of it we could have been better as a team, overall getting that done. But, there's a lot of things we could say we could have been better at, to not be in this predicament. But
You were one of the guys who came back, called you the Six Horsemen of the Apocalypse because there was Quinnen and Logan Wilson came in a trade.
Yeah.
Demo and Revel had not stepped on a football field, and you and Donovan Wilson had both been in sick bay. You'd both been hurt. And so all six of you came back in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's half a defense.
yeah.
And for close to a month, it looked like that was going to make a big difference. And then it didn't so much.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you put your finger on that part of it, the regression after that really good surge?
Honestly, like I said, it's just a lot that plays factors in that. Like, there's a lot of guys that I feel like, we're still banged up, in the second half of the season, fighting through injuries and, still trying to get out there and fight and perform the way we want them to perform. And, some games that's the case and some games that's not, myself being included. So, that's a factor in it. And like I said, too, a lot of teams, too, they get paid just like we get paid. So, adjustments and stuff. that we could have been better on our behalf as a team and as a defense overall. But, I mean, other than that, like I said, I still feel like we still had a roster and a team good enough to go out there and win a lot of those games that we was in close games with. So it is what it is. I mean, we just got to go back and look deeper into ourselves, whether it be individually or as a team and, go from there. Because, I mean, like I know it's a business, so this team ain't going to be the same next year, overall. So the guys that do come back, we know what this looks like and we know what it doesn't look like. So you just got to go off of the stuff we was doing good and build from that, and stuff we wasn't doing good, I feel like we got to reevaluate.
It's kind of raised a lot of, I'll say, questions and brought up the conversations. Basically, Matt Eberflus has gotten a lot of the heat, for it, for the struggles on defense. But Jadeveon Clowney, Kenny Clark, all those guys have really taken accountability, saying, hey, at the end of the day, like you just mentioned, we got to still go out there and execute.
Yeah.
How much have you, as the veteran, older guys in this room, kind of preached that to these younger guys? Like, hey, like, even if there's some communication issues, personnel issues, or things like that, we still got to go out there and do our jobs.
Absolutely. I try to preach it as much as I can. I mean, obviously, I know, just like you guys know, there's some stuff that, it's football. There's some stuff that beats certain coverages, and, as well as on offense, there's certain coverages that beat certain, plays that they run. So can't really just blame it on just necessarily the defense coordinator because, like you said, at the end of the day, I feel like we're talented enough to still go out there and, just beat our guys and being able to, make a play. So I feel like we didn't do enough of that. I feel like a lot of the plays that we should have made as, impact plays, we left out there. And myself included, I feel like we could have been better on. And it just felt like I said, there was a lot of guys that was just back and forth, trying to get their feet back under them, whether they was coming off injuries. I was out for 4 weeks. Trey went on IR for 4 weeks. We had Wanye battling with, certain stuff back and forth. So it all plays a factor. Like I said, it's not a one person or, just a coach thing. It's a team defense. And, if one thing's off with this type of scheme and this defense, then it makes everybody look bad. And that's just the facts of it, So whatever it was, whether it be just one game, our run fits wasn't good, or this game, or 4 games straight, the pass game wasn't good, it all ties in together. So you just got to look at it from both aspects. Was we rushing as good as we can, or was we covering as good as we can, and that all ties together.
I just want to have you address this because for people who have never played the game. So you played in Dan Quinn's system, coaching staff, verbiage for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And then last year, DQ went off to Washington.
And we got some.
And now here comes Mike Zimmer. Couldn't be more different. Love them both.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more different than Dan.
Yeah.
And then, now here came Eberflus with another new bunch of coaches and a different set of verbiage. Now, how much does that play into? Like, people are talking about Minnesota, which got a great defense and a great coordinator, and then they don't realize that that's been building for about 3 years.
Yeah.
That you don't just pour a little powder in your water.
Magic juice.
Suddenly, you get magic juice, and suddenly you got the 85 Bears. It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah, it takes time for sure. I mean, obviously when Q first came in, that first year we was just decent that first year, and then the next couple years, that's when we kind of started clicking and we really got to being as effective as we wanted to be. But I mean, there's some teams, those fortunate teams that can go out there, in 1 year and make it look special, because I think, what was it, the Bears last year, they wasn't pretty good. Their defense was always solid.
It was okay.
But now, they're leading
Playoff
the league
team,
and they're a playoff team and they're probably the best defense in the NFL.
And they're by far the league leader in turnovers.
Yeah, so it's like things can change quick. It's just all about the culture you have, the guys that you have in the locker room, and who's willing to really buy into what you're coaching and stuff like that. So I'm not saying we didn't do that, because I feel like we generally have the culture, the guys, and guys that generally buy in. Like, you see a lot of teams playing this late in the season who's not in the playoffs, and they're just going out there and they're just playing. You know what I'm saying? They're not playing for much or playing as hard as they normally would. But I feel like the guys we had, as you seen last week, we're still going out there as if, we're still at the beginning of the season and trying to pour out. So the culture we got here is built good, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's just about performance. We didn't perform as well as we liked most of those games, as well as, there was a lot of games where we affected ourselves with penalties and just dumb mistakes. So we got to be better on that behalf.
You've brought me right to the question I wanted to hear you address. Thank you very much. Which is the other thing that is being much discussed by people on the interwebs and all that, and that is this week. How many of you veteran players should play, and who should not play? Who should sit? Who should? And you're laughing at it.
Yeah.
And tell me why you're laughing at it.
Mr. Jones signs my check, so I'm gonna be out there. You know what I'm saying?
Straight like that.
Yeah, like I just feel like, you know, and then it's for me, like I said, the first half of my career, I was injured a lot. You know what I'm saying? Major injuries. So for me, it's just about the opportunity for me to be able to go out there and still be able to do what I do at a high level at this point in my career. So, I mean, if I'm capable and I'm physically able to go out there and perform, then I'm going to go out there and give what I can, unless they tell me I can't. You know what I'm saying? If they tell me I can't play, then, you know, I'm all just going to have to listen to what they say. But if I'm as far as supposed to be out there and playing, then I'm going to play as if, you know, it's the first game of the season. I'm sure the other guys we got on the roster, me knowing and being around those guys, they got the same mindset I have too. Now, some guys, you know, obviously with, you know, the business aspect of it, you don't want to put other guys in harm's way. Not saying we're all not valuable, not saying that, but, you know, you just got to be smart with some guys because, you know, there's some guys who, as we all know, being a business, that are going to be here longer than other guys, and, you know, you want to protect that. So
also, if a guy is, and please address this, if a guy is a free agent, which you're not, some guys think, I don't know if I want to risk getting a serious injury. I'm not in the playoffs in the last game, and then how's that going to affect me on the open market? Does that ever come into it?
I mean, some guys I'm sure it does because, you know, there's some guys who unfortunately goes out there and injuries are a part of the game and it happens, you know, but there's other guys who, you know, who believe in that, you know, injuries are a part of the game and if it happens, it was just meant to be. You know what I'm saying? There's certain stuff that you just can't affect. If you're going out there and you're warming up and you're not even making contact, you have a non-contact injury, that's unpreventable. You know what I'm saying? So I just look at it like that. Like, you go out there and you try to, you know, half play, that's where guys get hurt.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. So it's like if you're going to play, go out there and give it your 100%. If you're not going to play, then just let them know. And, I mean, it's a conversation for front office and whoever else. But, me personally, I don't look at it like that. Like, it's more of a heart thing, I feel like, for a lot of guys, especially with our guys. Like, we really enjoy the brotherhood. We enjoy being around each other. So, like, for me, I love going out there and playing with Donovan Wilson every week. So I know if he's playing, I'm playing. You know what I'm saying? As well as the other guys on the defense. So, you know, the record, you know, obviously we all wish we had a winning record and we're going to the playoffs. But the factor is we're not. But that doesn't take away from, you know, the camaraderie and, you know, the love that we have with each other while we're doing this, you know, this journey.
And the last thing about that, and then we'll take our next break, is the 3 games that before last week were frustrating for a lot. So last week you had a good feeling. You flew home happy on Christmas.
Yes, sir.
And to a lot of people, doing that twice, finishing the season with that feeling, having not a losing record, to a lot of people that carries over. That it helps get you into the off season on a positive note. Some people say, "Oh, that's nonsense. It's next year is next year." Where do you come down on that?
I honestly,
I mean, is there momentum from one year to the next? Can it carry over?
I mean, it can, but like I said, it's just so much factors that play into it. Like, it can be a whole different roster, and I mean, you can try to kind of give the guys the view of, you know, what happened last year for the new guys that's coming in, but there's only so much you can really say for them to have that same feeling that, you know, a lot of us are going to have going out of this year. So I say it is 50-50 for me, but me personally, I kind of already, because it's like, you know, we didn't get what we accomplished, so it's like it's just looking forward to another year chasing what we all want, and that's the beauty of this game, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's only one winner out of 32 teams, so once that one winner, you know, raises their trophy, whatever, all right, all the rest of us 31 other teams, we get back to work, and we all back on the journey of trying to chase this one thing that we all, one team can get. So that's the beauty of it and the great thing about having these opportunities on Sunday.
Malik Hooker is our guest on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour at Sidecar Social in Frisco.
Yeah, and we're brought to you by Luke Casey. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys Collection by Luke Casey. Shop the collection today at Luke Casey's 6 DFW locations or online at lukecasey.com. Luke Casey, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Man, do you have a pair of those, by the way?
I don't. I
know people. I know people with the cheerleaders.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Come on, Brad. You know everybody. Hook me up.
I'm saying. I just want to make sure. I don't want to try to hook anybody up that want to be hooked up. We'll be right back.
Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
At Sidecar Social in the Star District in Frisco on our final Cowboys Hour of this season, Brad Sham and Nicole Hutchison, our very special guest, Malik Hooker, the Cowboys safety. On Victory Monday, absolutely. I made reference before to Hook being a proud Ohio State Buckeye, and they have played a number of big games in AT&T Stadium.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest you played in.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the national championship game, which you won in 2015?
15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was that? What did you think of the place coming in here as a college kid in 2015?
Man.
Plus now I know that you were locked in on the national championship and all that, but still you walk in and, hello.
I mean, because it's like the shoe's a big place, but, it's open. We don't got no dome. So it was kind of like a shock to me, to see that many people in one spot and then how nice it was and how bright the lights and stuff like that. Like, it's funny. My family always talks about it to this day. They love AT&T and how beautiful it is. So that was the first thing I noticed. And then just like I said, how spacious it was and how many people can be seated in there.
How often do you watch Ohio State now?
Try to watch them as much as I can. I mean, the last couple games I've been watching, but you know, when we was on that stretch of all them games back to back, I wasn't watching them as much.
Did you ever think then this would be a fun place to play? Not that it was the Cowboys so much, but just the stadium. And did that thought even enter your mind?
No, it's crazy. Like, I never expected myself to be in Dallas. Like, when I went to Indy, you know, even after I had a couple injuries, I was like, you know, they're going to give me a 5th year. I'm going to play this 5th year out ball, and then they're going to sign me back. So I never knew or thought that I would be ended up in Dallas. But I always knew that, you know, Mr. Jerry always had, you know, love for me and wanted me to be in Dallas. So, you know, when I got to the free agency and the first person they reached out was the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind going down there. I seen what it looks like. You know, I ain't never been to Texas, so you know, it was kind of just like the right moment type thing for me.
And I don't want to let the conversation get away for those of you who don't know Malik's journey to this point. 15th pick in the draft by the Colts, and then a series of injuries that you could make a whole medical show. I mean, you shouldn't have been playing 5 years in, right, with the injuries, let alone talking about next year as your That's why I think anybody who plays 10 years, that's a heck of an accomplishment anyway.
Yeah.
But with the things that you had to overcome to get back on the field, it's nearly a dadgum miracle, isn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. You know, even looking back on it, my rookie year coming out, I had a hip labrum and bilateral sports hernia that I played through my last couple games in college.
You played with those things.
Yeah, it was funny because, man.
No, that's not funny, Hook. I'm sorry. It's not funny.
Because, like, to even get through the week of practice, like, I was having to take so many ibuprofen just to be okay to try to jog enough for me to get through practice. So I ended up playing in the playoff game where we got whooped by Clemson. I'm still disappointed to this day about that. But I ended up getting an interception and everything, so I guess I wasn't as hurt as I thought I was. But, yeah, I ended up having to have a surgery after that. Got to my rookie year, got hit in the knee, had an ACL and MCL done. Later that year, my second year, I ended up having a meniscus done on my other knee. Then I was finally coming back from that, and that's when I ended up doing my Achilles, and then from there.
That's where most people say, "Okay, God, I hear you. Sorry."
Yeah,
but you didn't do that.
Nah, from there it kind of went downhill a little more, but it still was pretty rough. I ended up coming to Dallas. The one year, I don't know if you guys remember, where I had both of them cast on my thumbs. I was playing with.
I remember.
Both of my thumbs was torn that whole year. I got a degenerated disc in my back currently. You know, so, I mean, it's getting better. It's getting better. It's not as major as it was, so it's getting better. But, you know, like I said, that's the good thing about the game. You know, as much as, you know, it gives us, you know, financially and, you know, being able for us to provide for our family, you always give something back. Giving something back.
Yeah, but you must really love playing football.
I do. I enjoy it. Like I said, there's nothing like, you know, waking up on Sundays and being the only thing that people watch. And I mean, obviously, just as much as the wins is great, you know, the losing is kind of cool sometimes, too, because it teaches you about yourself, you know what I'm saying? The aspect of, you know, a lot of people lose and, you know, they're sore sports and, you know, they want to shut it down.
Yes, I've met many of those people, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, it's one way you can take about it. You can be a sore sport about it, get back in the gym and go beat who beat you. You know, we play rivals multiple times throughout our division and other guys that I feel like is our rivals in the NFC, and it's like, man, you get multiple chances against those guys to go out there and show them, all right, I went back and I did my scouting or whatever the case may be to be able to come back to overperform to win the next time I get to play you. So that's the beauty of it for me. So, I guess you could say I love it. You know, even with the injuries, you know, they taught me a lot, too, going through those. You know, those were the darkest times of my life, you know, going through those first 5 years of my career. But, you know, it taught me that, you know, I'm capable of getting through anything. You know, I got through all those injuries and came back and, you know, I feel like a good career here in Dallas, and, you know, that's all anybody can ask for is to be able to come back and be half the person they was before their injury, and I feel like I came back and overachieved that. So, you know, like I said, anything for me now is just added on the cherry on top for the blessings that I already got for me still being able to come here and still being considered, you know, one of the guys that, a leader on the defense of the Dallas Cowboys, or one of the starting safeties in the NFL. So
I think it's important for people to hear that story, because there are lessons in there for everybody, whatever you do. And yet, it turns out that we're sitting on the biggest story.
Oh, yeah.
Of the whole night.
He's also an author. You can add that to his
yeah,
list.
no, I think we need to get to that right
well.
now.
Yeah, it's called When the Smoke Learns My Name. Talk to us about that book and where the name came from.
You've written it, or you're writing it?
No, it's basically done now. I got my final copy to kind of finalize if it's officially done, because there were small areas that I had to tweak, but I got a rough draft copy already done, so I'll probably say like the next 2 weeks I have it officially. But it's just kind of like a little background story to kind of introduce myself, as a person, what I kind of grew up around, my environment, and just stuff like that, and what I've been going through, obviously, throughout my career and stuff too. But there's a lot of other books I got coming out too. That's just the start of one, just to kind of give people an intro of myself. But I got a couple other books coming out too. One of them going to be a mental health book, just about what a lot of athletes go through, whether it be game day, family stuff, or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely some interesting stuff if you like poetry. It ain't like one of those books that you read, just a regular book. It's actually a poetry book, so definitely check it out whenever you guys, see me post.
Now hold on now.
You're gonna get it.
Hold on. Okay, When the Smoke Learns My Name. What's that all about?
It's just about the adversity I've been through. Obviously growing up, my mom, she raised me and my 4 siblings by herself. I got 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. And just overcoming adversity, being able to show what made me the type of person I am, the type of guy I am outside of the football player, and also just kind of showing people too what made me and showed me, I guess, the ropes to my athletic career. Because I didn't just start playing sports. I actually watched my sister play basketball, my cousins play football and stuff like that. Is kind of what got me into it. So it's just a lot of, good gems and stuff like that. Like I said, if you just like good poetry too, just some good poetry in there.
Have you always written poetry?
Yeah, my mom always wrote a lot of poetry and stuff like that. So, I always grew up. I wasn't that good at first, but the older I got and just listening to, poets over and over, I kind of got better at it. And a lot of my friends like it, stuff like that. And post it on social media, and people, obviously react to it. So just kind of like, all right, but the crazy thing is, it's just me, I guess, just explaining stuff that I either see, go through, or just everyday life stuff, but just being able to put words behind it.
Favorite poet?
You are writing this book that's almost finished, and you're writing a couple more.
Yes, sir. I probably, because right now on my phone alone, I probably got like 500 of them.
Sir.
500 poems?
Mm-hmm. I've written a book.
Wow.
It's hard, even if it's something you know a lot about.
Yeah.
And do you have a ghostwriter for any of this, or are you just writing it all yourself?
No, it's easy because it's like I said, it's like my story of what I see and stuff like that. But it's just being able to kind of play with the words to make it to where I can have whoever's reading it fit in the shoes of what I'm telling. So, but yeah, it's just I've been not saying these books is just all the books I wrote like in 1 year. Like, and even when I say books, like, it's just, I got a bunch of poems, but I just got to put them to where I want them to match the books that the pieces that I want them to be in. But, yeah, I probably got like 400 or 500 of them.
Do you have a favorite?
Nah. Because it's like, it just depends on the phase of my life I was in. Like, and it's funny because I write them all. Like, I have them on my phone, and then I write them in my notebook, too, just so when I look back on them, I can be like, all right, this was the phase of my life when I felt like I was dealing with this, to kind of remind me what I overcame or where I've come from. So it's kind of like a memory thing. But
favorite poet?
Rudy Francisco. I've been watching him for years now. Actually been to a couple of his shows here in Dallas, and just amazing poet. Just the way he rewords things and being able to paint a picture for people. So I've been following him for years. And then my mom too at first. Like, she was my very first poet. I still got her first poem that she ever wrote that she sent me. So still to this day, that's one of my favorite poems too.
This is the Malik Hooker you did not know, and we're not done with this part. Our final break, and we'll be right back with Malik Hooker on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour.
I'll take Lance.
Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
She about to ask a question. Oh.
Yeah, she is.
We are.
Yes, she is. That was the voice of the poet laureate of the Dallas Cowboys, Malik Hooker. I'm Brad Sham with Nicole Hutchison, and we are at Sidecar Social, our final Cowboys Hour of the season. And yes, young lady, you are next. Please go, because you're wearing your Ohio State sweatshirt. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Deb, and so this is from one Buckeye to another.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. We've shared similar stomping grounds. I had friends from Newcastle.
Okay,
and I lived
okay.
in Youngstown, lived in Cleveland, was in Ohio for like 45
Would you like
years.
us to just leave,
So,
Nicole?
yeah.
Right?
Anyway.
Shouldn't just come up here.
I do have a question since you're on to your, creative side.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
is your jacket about?
Honestly, this is just, I just like, graffiti type things as far as, clothing. So I honestly don't know. I actually got this somewhere in Dallas, I want to say. It was somewhere down in
Let me see. It's because this is mostly a radio show, so it's a black.
Yeah.
Is it pleather? No.
Like jean material.
Shootist. Is that a brand? Shootist.
I think so. I'm not sure. I just
Someone
like how it looks.
someone just gave you a jacket.
No, I got it, but I just like how it looked. Like, I don't look at the brands and stuff because I'm not into, like, the designers and all that.
Well, I looked it up, and it has to do with some sort of movie shoot.
Uh-huh.
So I thought maybe you were into the film and the movies. And
No, I ain't that far yet. Hopefully, maybe one day down the line, I'll be able to get in the movie.
But this
no,
is
not
all
yet.
aesthetics. You just like how it looks.
Yeah, I just like, I'm just kind of like a stylish dresser type thing, as you see by my hat.
I do see.
it's just like-
Where would you rank yourself on the team in stylish dressers?
No, I'm mid-tier as far as that. Like, cause there's a lot of guys on the team that really like are into like the styling, the whole fashion week, all that. So I'm probably mid-tier with the team. But I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's CD, there's Wanye, there's who else?
Quarterback usually pretty put together.
He has no choice.
Right.
Uh,
I remember
so many guys.
when Curse was here.
Him too.
He took pride. He wanted people to know and say that he. Did you know him? Were you
I got
when
here
he was-
later in that season.
Oh,
yeah.
he was proud of how he dressed.
Him and Sean, they was both like that. They still to this day, they're still very fashionable like that. They still, when they go out, still dress fashion like that. Man, I miss those guys too. They're my guys still to this day.
Sir.
Good evening, Malik. My name is Rambo. So you've had a pretty successful NFL career. You've obviously reached the pinnacle of football. What's going to be your next quest after football?
Honestly, because I've been not even just football, but in athletics for so long. I've been, I played travel basketball, I played baseball, football, all that stuff throughout my whole life. I kind of want to just get a breather probably my first year after I'm done. Pour that time back into my family, because obviously we haven't got to spend as many holidays and stuff like that with our families, being in the professional world as a professional athlete. So it's kind of pour back into them for that year. And then after that, I don't know exactly. I want to do something with kids to where it's kind of like a big brother, big sister program where I can kind of pour back into them. And other than that, man, my poetry thing, my books.
If you didn't play football, what other sport do you excel in?
I was good in basketball. I was like Mr. Pennsylvania Player of the Year back in high school. And my friend from Newcastle, she'd be able to tell you. I was, if you background check it, I was, pretty successful in basketball. But I'm, obviously I'm a lot older now. I don't think I can jump as high as I was back then when I was young. But I'll probably definitely say basketball.
But if you were Mr. Pennsylvania basketball, did you have some schools after you wanted you to do that?
Man, there was a couple schools that offered me, but I was so stuck on Ohio State offering me that I didn't even care about nothing else.
Now, why was that? Because you had a lot of big schools coming after you.
Yeah, Alabama had offered me, I want to say like a week or two after, because they be having that Alabama 7-on-7. I went and played pretty solid down there, and they ended up offering me, but it was just like, I knew I didn't want to leave from back home. Columbus is like 3 hours from back home, and I knew I didn't want to go to Pitt. It's like 45 minutes. I wanted to be far enough that I can, grow a little bit as, young man, but also be close enough to my mom.
Penn State offered you.
I wasn't going that far.
Oh, not that far. Okay.
Man,
Because I don't know if anybody's ever been to Penn State. You got to want to get there.
Yeah, and it's still like Penn State was cool too, But it was just always had a dream of playing either Pitt basketball or football or going to Ohio State. So
Interesting.
once Ohio State offered me, it was like it was done deal for me. And
What-
plus, they was sending a lot of DBs to the league at the time. So.
Yeah, what turned you onto Ohio State as a kid in Pennsylvania?
So the area I'm kind of from Pittsburgh, it's kind of close to Terrell Pryor. So growing up, was always a Pryor's fan
Yeah.
from back home. So, from then it was just like, went to Braxton and then, getting there myself and being a part of the guys that you were seeing before then just makes you more of a fan, And if you be there, if you've been there on campus and you've been around some of the guys that, was a part of that culture and that legacy, then you'll understand why. Because it kind of reminds me here, how special it was with, the adversity that we fought back from that year and just the camaraderie that the guys had. So they always definitely hold a special place in my heart.
Hi, I'm Tony from Dallas.
How you doing, brother?
Once the season shuts down, what is your off season? When do you shut down your everything you do, and then when do you get back into working out and getting ready for the season again?
For me, because I'm older now, I kind of try to stay doing something the whole time. Like, I'm not saying I'm not just going to be out there doing football drills the whole off season, but I kind of, still try to lift a little bit and kind of jog on the treadmill, stuff like that, just to stay somewhat active. Probably throughout, because you go right back in April, I want to say. So you probably get maybe a month, depending on how much time you want to take off. But other than that, you're pretty much training year-round. I tell people all the time, you really pay attention to how our schedule is. You might as well say we're year-round, because the only time we really get off is right before camp, and then this month off if you're a team that ain't in the playoffs.
Thanks.
Hello, Larry from McKinney. I like that song that you have for your first dance, When We Were Young, by Janae Aiko.
No, what song?
When We Were Young.
When we were young, yeah. What about it?
Yeah, I like that song. It's really nice. It goes fitting with you and your wife. Just curious, of the 88 guests that you had at your wedding, were there any Cowboy players that were there?
Yeah. Half the team, I think, that year was there. It was, because there's a picture somewhere online. I don't even know how the picture got around. But it was like me, it was Neville, Zeke was there, J-Ron Curse, Jordan Lewis, Donovan Wilson, Moye Thomas. Let me think of who else. Neville Gallimore. There's a couple other guys, Dorrance Armstrong. There was a couple guys that we had on the team that year that was there. It was like at least like 25 minimum, I want to say. So, yeah, definitely. There was no way them guys wasn't going to be there. Like, they had no choice unless you had something to do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Favorite memory from your wedding night, wedding day?
Easy.
Okay,
Easy.
Oh my God.
All I know is what you said.
No.
I didn't.
No.
You said the words. I heard the words.
Let me backtrack. From your wedding reception. There you go.
Thank goodness we got 30 seconds left.
So I literally have
Scared
like a
me to
video
death.
of all the guys dancing in like a circle. You got to see it. It's amazing. I'll probably say that's definitely my favorite time.
Thank you.
I'm going to let Nicole off this hook right now. Hey, Malik, so impressed with who you are, the career that you continue to have.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to seeing you again next year, and keep going.
Yes, sir.
Keep going.
Appreciate you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Malik Hooker, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being with us on the Cowboys.
Clear, everyone. And at Blitzens, Omni.